I want to start this week. I want to review where we're at in the NFL today. It's week 6 now, and I'm going to be turning to my screen, so what I see is that in the AFC East, you have Buffalo that seems to be going to establish himself as a front runner. They have good points fielded and points allowed stats, and you have the Jets. Well, they may or may not. I still haven't given up on Rodgers. I think he's still effective. I think his team around him has to step up, and maybe they can gel before mid-season. In the next couple of weeks, they still got a shot at going in the playoffs because he's still a top effective quarterback. I mean, regardless of what a lot of people say. Now, Miami, I don't know about the Tua situation. Even if he comes back, how effective will he be? I don't know. I don't think we're not going to see much. New England, not even a mention. Maybe next year. Baltimore gives up a lot of points. They score a lot of points. They'll be in the playoff for sure. And a lot of close games. I mean, that's kind of shaky for me to trust them as if I want to put my money on them in the futures. Pittsburgh, same thing. They look solid, but their quarterback has to become solid like them. Otherwise, they may not make the playoffs. Cleveland, I don't see anything for them. Watson, he's going through too much now, and he may never get it anyway. Even with all his problems, he may still not be an NFL quarterback, and we're just finding that out. And Cincinnati, they can't stop the run. If that's the case, they're going to have trouble. They may not make the playoffs, and even if they did, it wouldn't matter. It's too bad because Burrow is a top quarterback. Houston, they should make the playoffs considering this division. The Colts, Richardson, I don't know. I don't have a lot of good opinions on dual threat quarterbacks. So if Flacco continues, they might have a shot. He's still effective. Tennessee and Jacksonville, I don't see them doing much of anything. One of those might make 500 at the end of the season, but that's not saying much. KC will be there in the end. Denver, once again, the quarterback hasn't established. Chargers, once again, if Herbert doesn't start being the man, the Chargers are going to be at best a 500 team. They have a halfway defense, halfway decent, but if their offense can't get it tracked, they're not going to win games. And Raiders, I don't think, not this year, they're not going to go anywhere. Washington is, well, they have a strong line of scrimmage on both sides, and that quarterback development is crucial. How they play against Dallas this week, Dallas is starting to reestablish themselves, but their defense cannot look like they did the first couple of weeks. And I think Prescott is still going to have problems having to be the guy getting the bulk of the yards because they're not going to run the ball the way that he's used to, that it's more comfortable for him. The Eagles, they don't score that many points. They give up more points than they score. I don't think the Eagles, they might make the playoffs, but I don't think they have what it takes to really knock off the top teams in the playoffs. The Giants, no, they might make 500. I kind of doubt it. I'm not going to waste my time. Minnesota looks like a real team here. And, they're impressive. They've got 76 points allowed. I think that looks like the lowest. They got the best defense in the league. Detroit scores a lot. They have a good defense. I think Detroit is going to be a contender. They'll make the playoffs. But Chicago, I think they're a 500 team. I'm not going to, look to them for many plays. Green Bay looks like another team that, Love can carry them, and they have a defense. They can run the ball. Look out for Minnesota, Detroit, and Green Bay in that division. Tampa Bay and Atlanta fighting out for the division title, and New Orleans might have an outside chance to make a wild card if Carr can come back soon enough. Carolina with Dalton, not enough for them to do much of anything. Seattle, their defense is a bit suspect. If Geno can play consistent, they could be a playoff team. I still don't think Arizona can be that effective. They might get close to the playoff, but they have to be able to stop the run on a consistent basis. The Niners, they're going to make the playoffs. They've got too much talent. I mean, the Rams, no, I think the Rams are just not going to get it done this year. So, anyway, last week, I want to talk a little bit about the dual threat quarterbacks. And we're seeing a lot of these guys. And honestly, a dual threat quarterback, in my opinion, can last about 3 to 5 years in the NFL. And if those 5 years, if they don't get hurt, they have to learn how to read progressions in real NFL time. And I believe that most of them haven't, and most of them never will. Now, Jackson, Baltimore, looks like to be one of those that he is starting to establish that. After looking for the first read in the progression, he's more likely to just take off with the ball and run for that first down. But now he's starting to pick up after he scrambles a bit or just looks the other way. He'll pick up that second or third read and he'll get those first downs. So I think Baltimore has a quarterback. But honestly, for the most part, if you look back at all these dual threats that started coming in the early 90s, that most of them, their shelf life is about 5 years and 3 years to 5. I mean, look at Kaepernick. When he first came in, he was a mystery. He could throw the ball well. He could run the ball as fast as almost anybody in the field. But once the defense has figured it out, that he's basically making the first read, and if it's not there, he's taken off. And before the end of the second season, they had him figured out. By the third season, he was going downhill, and that's the biggest reason why he started all this protest crap, because he knew that they were going to take him out, and he just wanted an excuse. Okay, so honestly, the dual threat people, they've changed the face of the NFL, but not necessarily for the better. Because what happens is this: 3 out of 4 of them usually never really get that skill of reading all their progressions in real time. First guy's not open, second not open, third is open. I mean, that's a skill that it's very rare for people to pick up. Okay? And some will, but some never will, and some might have a chance, but they get hurt. Then they lose one of those dual threats, and that's it. There's just they can't run the ball and they can't make reads. They're going to be out of the league within a year after that injury. That's just my comment on dual threat quarterbacks. But anyway, also another comment, we're seeing a lot of things in the college football that, I mean, a lot of top teams, they're not only not covering, but they're losing. I've never seen that before. And I think a lot of it has to do with these portal windows that we're seeing quarterbacks coming in and they're practicing, but that first game, they might shine or they might stink or anything in between. So we don't know what to expect. We're seeing some that stunk are starting to come up and get it, and some that shined are having problems. So this season's going to be weird. we're going to see upsets like the Vanderbilt, Alabama, maybe the whole season. You know, and that's just a comment on that. What we're seeing, what I'm seeing in both these games. But anyway, so let's start with what happened last week. Now, last week in the college, I ended up 3-3. Okay, nobody likes. I'm not saying, like I said, listen to what I have to say because and play it. No, I'm just giving you my opinions. And I had Notre Dame. They covered if you had them at 6.5. And I had Indiana, which Indiana to me looks like a coming powerhouse. 13-9 total for the season on college. Like I said, it's nothing to be shout about. Okay, it was 2-2 in the pros last week, which are nothing really either. Seattle didn't cover. 49ers, they lost. So I'm not gonna jump on this. I'm gonna continue to make my picks, and I'm gonna make them more as my leans and things to consider and think about. So, Penn State at USC, if people are on Penn State, I would be careful there because Penn State does not like a predatory type of a team. They win by 3.5, they'll be happy. They're at home. They're not at home. They're on the road. So USC, I think they'll stick around. And then they may not win the game, but they might blow that cover for you. So be careful on that one. And once again, the Illinois game, it was 19.5. It's 21 now, so everybody is jumping on Illinois. And I wouldn't consider that a bad pick if you want to lay that many points. I would be careful with Louisville at Virginia. That's Louisville was going to stick around. I would give them a 50-plus chance to win this game. But 7.5, laying 7.5 on the road against a team that could get that backdoor cover, I wouldn't take that chance. Same thing with Memphis at South Florida. Same thing, I consider Memphis a higher level as far as overall talent team than South Florida. But being on the road, South Florida is competitive. And we're going to see, once again, that backdoor cover might bite you. Now, here, UCF are actually giving 3 points to Cincinnati. I would consider Cincinnati here as a good teaser possibility. You add on 6, you got 9 points. They're competitive. No one has dominated them or anything. I would consider that one a decent pick. Now, my first strong pick would be BYU at home. They're giving 3 points against Arizona. Arizona would be competitive, but there's not going to be as many points scored here as it would lead you to believe looking at their numbers. And I think the biggest reason why I'm going to go with BYU is BYU handled K-State. They killed them. I mean, as far as points wise. If you look at the box, it was a different story. Okay, in Arizona, they got manhandled by K-State, and there was no excuse there. They got overrun. So what does that tell you? That means that Arizona has a mediocre or better passing and a mediocre run. They won't be able to run on BYU, and their passing will be minimal. But the biggest thing that, in my opinion, is very important is that BYU is like a mile high elevation, and Arizona is what 100 feet off the sea level. See, the point is, if you go you're used to a low, almost sea level elevation, you're getting a lot of oxygen because the oxygen is just more concentrated. Now, the higher you go in elevation, the less oxygen you're breathing. I know personally, I moved from a low elevation to a high elevation, and it took me almost a year to be able to feel like I'm drawing normal breaths. So, and I have a feeling that's what happened to Kansas State when they went to BYU. Because if you look at their numbers, they basically dropped off in the second half. They gave up 2 key crucial plays right near the first half that turned the game around, and they couldn't do anything in the second half. And I suspect this might happen to Arizona too. So that's why I'm calling them a strong play. The next play I have is Mississippi against LSU. The difference being Mississippi has the defense. They're going to lock down LSU. Lock them down. I don't think LSU will score 20 points. Mississippi will go maybe 30. So that's another strong pick I have there. Also, I know these smaller schools, I really didn't want to play them, but I mean, upon further review, I'll just throw them out just for you to check them out. You got North Texas, lane 6 at Florida Atlantic. North Texas will be able to move the ball on Florida Atlantic, and Florida Atlantic has a minimal offense, period. Lay the 6 points. They're going to win by 2 touchdowns, in my opinion. Same thing with University of Lafayette, Louisiana Lafayette. Appalachian State is a minimal scorer, and Lafayette has a balanced run and pass attack. Lay the points, 10.5. Those are 2 are as solid as my Mississippi pick. And also, you might want to take a look at Syracuse, and you might want to tease them. They're a better team than NC State. I know they're on the road, I know, but NC State still hasn't figured it out. Syracuse has. They have a quarterback that will trade points right to the end. So those are my recommendations. University of Louisiana Lafayette, lay the 10.5. North Texas, lay the 6. Syracuse, tease them, get them down to plus 2.5. Mississippi, lay the 3.5. And BYU, lay the 4 points. I think they're gonna impress. Now, as far as the pros, I'm not gonna. The Niners they're gonna get fixed. They're gonna fix themselves. But this week they might fix themselves, but win by 3. They're not gonna cover. But they might not fix themselves. So that's what I think about that. Jacksonville, Chicago, I'm not going to play that. I still have questions. I'm not going to. Washington at Baltimore. Baltimore lane 6.5. I don't think they're going to cover that. I think Washington is going to give them fits. Baltimore, if they win the game, which to me it's a 50-50 proposition, they're going to pull out in the end like they've been showing all season. When they do win or lose, it'll happen right near the end of the game. Houston, New England, I'm not going to play it. Philly's having problems. They're going to win this game, and they might cover it, but I don't. Philly, I don't see them as a top tier team anymore, so I don't want to lay 9.5. Now, once again, Flacco plays. I'm going with Indy. He did enough last week to convince me. And Tennessee is not really a team that's going to hold down much of anybody. Green Bay, Arizona. If you want a solid, I would go with Green Bay. I think Green Bay is going to run it down their throats, and Arizona will have no answer. And if their quarterback wants to go start running around, he might get hurt. Now, as far as Tampa Bay, New Orleans, If Carr, I don't see New Orleans competing here, and if Carr doesn't get back soon, I don't see New Orleans going in the playoffs. Period. Pitt in Vegas. I think Vegas is starting. They benched Minshew and put in, I think, O'Connell. I think Pitt's going to win. I'm not. I think they have the advantage. They can blow it, but they should pull the game out. Chargers at Denver. I don't want to go there. The Chargers, I don't want to do anything with them until I see Herbert either do something or not. And so far, it's questionable. Detroit and Dallas. I see that's going to be a shootout. I don't trust Dallas' defense, and I think Dallas will be able to do something, but I'm not going to name a winner here because I don't know. Atlanta and Carolina. I think Atlanta, that's laying 6 points. If Dalton, I don't know. I don't think Dalton can carry Carolina because the rest of the Carolina, their support, they just won't be able to help them. I think Atlanta's going to win this game, but they may not cover. I'm not going to go there. Cincinnati, Giants. Cincinnati, their defense just keeps the other teams in games, and you can't lay points on anybody in that situation. And Buffalo and the Jets, once again, this is not. I don't think the Jets are going to get right on this game. I think the Jets are going to lose this game again. So anyway, that's what I got. Everything that I'm doing is just here. I'm just doing this because it's fun. I enjoy having opinions, and giving opinions. Some of them might be useful. Some of them not. But you know, if you hear something you like, go to those channels that on the internet that I mentioned, SoundCloud and Reverb Nation, the Sonic Tribe with a Y, and let's see what happens. I'll come back next week and we'll share the good, positive news. And thank you. Have a good day.